This was fresh off the presses, baby. All right, this was the fresh buns out the oven. Apparently, Bungie has been caught stealing art, straight up stealing art for the new game that they're trying to like save and say that it's not the latest what the frick was that one game? Discord? Yeah, was it Discord? The one that like failed? No, Concord. There we go, Concord. They're trying to like already save face because a lot of people are not liking the trailers. And lo and behold, they get caught stealing freaking assets. Insanity.
Normally, I try to be very careful with definitive statements. I would avoid saying things like X company is committing fraud or Y company has committed plagiarism, stuff like that. Because the danger when using that kind of concrete language is that you end up being wrong and things then get a little bit messy. Instead, I typically go for suggestively open word choices. It appears to be, it seems to be, or there are strong indications of. See what I'm saying? Especially when dealing with large companies, brands that do commit fraud, or characters who engage disreputable lawyers to silence all of their critics, which I've directly contended with before, unfortunately.
I totally understand and I get why we have to speak this way now, because everything is a freaking lawsuit away from just going tits up, so to speak. But I also hate the fact that we all have to speak in such a, you know what I mean? It's just one of those things where it's like, not being able to speak openly. I always hate.
Using that kind of language becomes a lot more important. But today's video is an exception.
But I get it, and he's right.
He's right. Using suggestive terms for this one. Far from it, in fact, because Bungie is using stolen assets in their new AAA project.
Oh, okay.
With the only real question being, who's responsible for that? And
normally we gotta tiptoe, alright, around this kind of situation, but now these fools messed up so bad, they straight up just got caught. Like, we don't gotta.
Let me start with a little bit of background here, because this is far from the first time that Bungie has dealt with the topic of plagiarism.
Really?
In 2023, the company was accused of lifting an artist's independent work directly into a cutscene. In 2024, they were accused of stealing.
Oh, what the hell? Wait, is that for Destiny?
In 2023, the company was accused of lifting an artist's independent.
That's the original.
Work directly into a cutscene. In 2020.
That's a little too blatant, isn't it?
They were accused of stealing a weapon design, and late last year.
Yeah, that's a little too blatant.
An entire lawsuit collided with the studio, alleging that they stole entire sections of lore and storyline narratives, particularly the Red War and Curse of Osiris plotlines, from an individual blog writer. Setting aside my personal opinions about those previous examples, it's pretty clear that the company is no stranger to the topic of asset theft. However, none of it even comes close to what we're talking about today, because this time it's not similar or inspired by defensively. This time it's practically the entire art style. Yeah, I never seen that pistol.
Did I miss that in the trailer?
None of it even comes close to what we're talking about today.
Y'all see this pistol? I hate it.
Because this time it's not similar or
I don't know. How does it look like
inspired by defensively? This time it's
you know what? It's better looking than the Institute rifles in Fallout 4.
Practically the
so
entire
I can't really
art
hate too
style
much,
of
right?
their new AAA product called Marathon, which has been
that one
directly
looked a lot
lifted,
cooler.
copied, and
Too.
pasted into their game. Meet Anti-Real. Anti-Real is a visual artist, primarily a graphic designer, it seems, who has a substantial body of work going back many years, some of which is oddly reminiscent of what we now see in Marathon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it reminds me of, what's that parkour video game? Y'all remember that parkour game?
No big deal. Visual styles are very often similar to each other across all sorts of different work. But I want everyone to remember who this person is, okay? Anti-Real. I'll come back to them. Next, we need to introduce two more characters, and while I certainly can't say for sure if these are the two people primarily responsible for this problem, I think it's fair to know who they are, considering the full scope of what's going on. Thomas Kerpa and Paul Martinson. Starting with Thomas Kerpa, this is the Chief Creative Officer and co-founder of a design studio and branding development company called Kerpa Hosk. Paul Martinson is the creative director of Kerpa Hosk, and if you start digging into the designers that work for this company, including Paul Martinson, you start to find references and fragments linking them back to Bungie. As you begin poking around here and
how deep does this go? What the hell?
From there, a picture starts forming. Kerpa Hosk has worked with a number of high-profile clients, but it's also a subsidiary of a consultancy collective called Hydra. If you start looking at the creative styles of their designers, such as their co-founder, or generally investigating their work across the board, there are distinct visual similarities of what appears to be in Bungie's new game Marathon. But eventually we find out that Bungie's own franchise art director for Marathon openly stated a little over a week ago that they've been working with Kerpa Hosk since the very beginning. So far so good. Bungie hires a branding company. That company produces the artwork for Marathon, which has visual similarity to a number of different artists, including their own co-founder. But where's the actual problem? Because so far there isn't one. This is the problem. Anti-Real, the previously mentioned artist with a very similar art style as well compared to Marathon, on May 15th of 2025, posted on social media, quote, "The Marathon Alpha released recently and its environments are covered with assets lifted from poster designs I made in 2017. End quote. By itself, that might be nothing.
I have to say right off the bat, the fact that he's saying plural, like many assets, many poster designs.
But Anti-Real included a variety of comparisons, which make it extremely clear that not only are the designs similar, they're flat out
Aleph, Dark Space, College Logistics. It's straight up, they even copied the fake word. Aleph is not a real word, is it? Is Aleph a real freaking word? I'm gonna Google it. I'm being gaslit right now by Bungie. Is Aleph a word? Okay, apparently it's the first. Freaking Tifa, can you not? I swear I wasn't gooning, chat. I swear. It's apparently the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet.
Copied and pasted into Marathon. Here's an example.
Dark Space, College, legit. Oh, stop.
The Aleph Dark Space Haulage Logistics graphic, which appears pixel for pixel all over the game assets. Or how about this, where you can see portions of Anti-Real's work flipped horizontally and pasted in, where they didn't even bother.
What the frick? And then what? They just like magic wanded everything to the different color?
To fully remove text that reads Anti-Real Daily Series right
on. Oh no, and they were lazy about it!
And if that's not enough, how about the fact that Anti-Real's own logo is visible in numerous different locations?
Oh snap, no!
Because the artwork of Marathon...
It's not even a design, it's just his logo! Oh hell nah, son! Somebody needs to get fired! Bungie's about to. They gotta fire somebody.
Pasted into their product.
Nah, son, because this is actually genuinely putting them into real legal problems.
Graphics on the Marathon website, graphics from their.
I love it. Yo, I noticed.
Throughout the game, because the artwork of Marathon.
What's this?
Was cut, copied.
Hey, chat. Ant. 1R. R34. That means rule 34. L. Ignore the L part, right? But R34. That's the funny internet. That's the funny website.
Pasted into their product. Graphics on the Marathon website, graphics from their video trailers, graphics from pretty much the entire project, which can be found directly in the game files, are one-to-one copied and pasted from Anti-Real's work. And it gets
damn.
This part needs a little bit of deep internet history, if you will, for it to make sense. But
in case you needed any more evidence, by the way.
In 2024, Anti-Real on Twitter posted, quote, "I hid loss in my designs 6 years ago and nobody caught on," end quote. Which might sound like gibberish to an average person, but let me explain. Loss is actually a 4chan meme about abortion, but the comic it's based on is very often depicted as minimalist lines, like this. Basically, this line pattern right here refers to a comic from 2008, but lo and behold, on the Marathon subreddit, 22 days ago, before the topic of plagiarism started blowing up on social media, a thread with 1,400 upvotes appears, showcasing the loss line.
A loss meme in this economy? Well, I don't think they're the ones that put it.
Pattern clearly displayed in the game world of Marathon. People were actually praising this game for that kind of deep internet meme reference, saying things like, quote, "Holy shit, this game is 10 out of 10. But come to find out, the only reason
they freaking ripped it, they stole the asset, that's why it's there.
That meme reference is even there is because someone cut, copied, and pasted an actual artist's work across the entire Marathon project, which just so happened to include this meme, which they secretly stored in their work 7 years ago, and no one
Can
noticed.
somebody explain, by the way? I used to watch these specific comic, like, this guy. I watched all these a lot, all the time.
The comic it's based on is very often depicted as minimalist.
Oh, that's why? Oh, damn. Dude, how am I discovering this internet lore? I used to read all kinds of these comics. What the hell? Yeah, I didn't know there was this. What the frick?
Lines.
How did you get this? What I want to know now is how the frick they got this symbol out of it.
Like this. Basically, this line pattern right here refers to a comic from 2008, but lo and behold, on the Marathon subreddit, 22 days ago, before...
And it's a freaking miscarriage meme.
The reason that
what
meme
the
reference
frick?
is there is because someone cut, copied, and...
It's an old miscarriage comic strip meme.
...and pasted an actual artist's work across the entire Marathon project, which just so happened to include this meme, which they secretly stored...
Or references an old miscarriage meme.
And no one noticed. Still not done. There's many more examples of directly copied graphics. At this point, it's pervasive across a lot of the game, but I want to shift gears and go back to Joseph Cross, the franchise art director for Marathon. Yeah, Joseph Cross personally follows Anti-Real's...
Yeah, it started to sound to me a lot of the whoever this team that was hired needs to be investigated.
...account. The franchise art director for a AAA game personally follows the account of an independent artist who had massive portions of their work straight up stolen and used throughout his game. Optically, that's like one of the worst possible things that you could ever have happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And not only, like, it gets to the point where I'm starting to wonder, was it just that blatant? Like, did you think that they wanted, like, the guy wouldn't speak out?
Actually, not even just the art director. A lot of Bungie people, employees, artists, etc. follow Anti-Real, but focusing on the more concrete aspects of the problem, this is a major roadblock for Marathon as a product. We're not just talking about one or 2 or 5 graphics here and there, which are similar.
They're gonna have to redesign so much of the game.
Or slightly tweaked and changed, but kind of the same. Remember, in the past, Bungie used similar graphical material often, but it wasn't the exact same, and subsequently they never really faced any serious problems. That's just not true this time around. Someone somewhere, whether it be at Kerpa Hosk or Bungie, we don't really know at this point, copied and pasted so much of the game's artistic material without a single design change whatsoever. It is now an actual problem for Bungie. This isn't the type of thing you ignore and walk away from. It's the type of thing that damages a brand. And Marathon wasn't exactly doing well to begin with here. Sure, it's most likely the design company that they hired, in my opinion, but even then, it has...
Bro, this is Bungie! These are the people that used to make Halo! Now they've fallen so far from grace that they're freaking ripping assets off from random artists online.
Well, which, at this point, is probably unavoidable. Adding this in after the fact because it was
How do you
posted
fall
while
so
working
low?
on the video script and the editing, etc. The Marathon dev team Twitter account has posted a response to all of this publicly, which says the following, quote, "We immediately investigated a concern regarding unauthorized use of artist decals in Marathon and confirmed that a former Bungie artist included these in a texture sheet that was ultimately used in-game. This issue was unknown by our existing art team, and we are still reviewing how this oversight occurred. We take matters like this very seriously. We have reached out to Anti...
Oh, okay, it was an artist that doesn't work for us anymore. How convenient.
Real to discuss this issue and are committed to doing right by the artist. As a matter of policy, we do not use the work of artists without their permission. To prevent similar issues in the future, we are conducting a thorough review of our in-game assets, specifically those done by the former Bungie artist, and implementing stricter checks to document all artist contributions. We value the creativity and dedication of all artists who contribute to our games, and we are committed to doing right by them. Thank you for bringing this to our attention." End quote. So that makes it sound like an innocent mistake that someone got maybe fired for, I guess, but the explanation that this only occurred because someone included the graphics in a texture pack doesn't make any sense whatsoever to me. Remember, these graphics appear all over the game, even showing up on the website homepage for Marathon, which is an animated graphic. If this was simply a texture pack that was added to by one rogue employee, there wouldn't be this many different examples. Again, so much of their artwork was stolen, even random meme references are showing up in the game, which...
Like, it really does feel like, even if true, whoever this ex-employee was specifically wanted a bunch of this guy's artwork in there.
Were hidden by the artist 7 years ago. This isn't some simple oversight, where a couple of graphics appeared in a couple of places.
Yeah, that's the other thing. This is a 7-year-long thing.
At this point. And the further back you go in Anti-Real's content library, the more obvious it gets. I'd be willing to bet, and this is purely just personal suspicion at this point, so keep that in mind, but I'd be willing to bet practically anything at this point, that people are about to find far more examples of this. There's already, what, 7 different designs?
This is what I don't like about some of these games.
I'd be willing to bet practically...
I'm not gonna lie, look at this.
Anti-Real's content library.
Okay, one of these two things are completely unnecessary, okay? This chick is about to throw a sonic blast that's gonna launch this person off the roof. Tell me, what unalives this character? What downs this character? The landing or the bullets that Roland over there is firing?
To bet, and this is purely just personal suspicion.
This guy. Are the bullets pointless here, or was the fall pointless? Because, like, it's not...
At this point, so keep that in mind, but...
Or are you telling me that if you want to down him, you're gonna need to, like, put some damage into him? Because either way, this gameplay looks stupid already.
I'd be willing to bet practically anything at this point, that people are about to find far more examples of this.
Like, if it's the fall that killed him, that many bullets to take someone down is stupid. Even if he was midair, whatever the frick. And if it wasn't the fall that killed him, and it was because he had to fire bullets, that's still too much damn freaking like damage to kill him. Are you kidding me? You have to shoot him that many times just to get him to die?
Where stuff
to
was
fall damage?
Pasted into the game across multiple assets, which to me all but guarantees that the real number doesn't stop at 7. It's not like we just initially found all of the examples that are out there. It probably goes far higher than that, far higher than 7. But we also have to use a historical lens here and remember that, like, once or twice per year, a different artist, mind you, comes out on social media and says, "Hey, guys, wait a minute, Bungie stole my artwork," which is not a fluke anymore, okay? It's become a pattern. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Bungie knew as a company that the assets were stolen. They probably didn't, to be fair. I'm not going to pretend that I can tell you who's responsible for all of it. Maybe it really was an individual ex-employee artist like they claimed.
Nah, I mean, obviously this all too easy. Like, if I was to take a guess, right? Like, what was this due to stupidity and a lack of paying attention? And, like, potentially a little bit of, like, being lazy and maybe, like, hijacking this artwork and didn't think nobody would notice? Probably. Like, probably. Right? Probably. We can all easily agree on that. Who knows if it was malicious or not? Who knows if it was intentional or not? I'll tell you one thing. The game already has bad optics. This just makes it look worse.
But for this one, I don't feel like tiptoeing
it's just
around
it's kind of like Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's just another little bit of extra just dookie on top of the pile of turd.
I don't think it's even remotely necessary. Because the stone cold truth is that Bungie did use stolen assets all over Marathon. That is a fact. Hopefully they end up compensating Anti-Real. I think it's likely at this point.
Yeah, the best case scenario is that they pay him adequately. Don't you freaking take the first offer. The second most best option is that they would have to completely redo the artwork. Damn.
At this point, the optics are so bad with this one that there's really no way to dodge accountability for it, like they would probably hope to do in other circumstances, but I guess we'll see. I hope they get what they deserve. Like, Anti-Real gets what they deserve in a good way, is what I'm saying. I don't really care if Bungie gets what they deserve, as long as they compensate the person who actually made the artwork. And
I'm gonna be real with you. As long as the artist gets paid, everything else doesn't matter. I'm gonna be real with you. The game's gonna flop anyways, so like, who cares?
I don't know, just like move on from it in a constructive way, right? The get what they deserve is supposed to be positive in this case for a talented artist. That's my point. But anyway, if you want to support the channel, check out the links down below, a special VPN deal, locals and Patreon, also Anti-Real's social media pages because they do excellent work, and more, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, question everything, and have a nice night.
Yeah, no, it's just honestly an extra bit of like bad to add on top. You get what I'm saying? Now, is this gonna break the game? No, not at all. Absolutely not. The game was already like gonna flop long before this. This is just an extra bit of like misfortune for the game. Like, I can't believe that's freaking A. Imagine that. But hopefully the artist gets paid. That's the only thing that really matters at the end of the day. As long as the artist gets paid, yeah, who cares? Everything else is like meh. Ayoo, Monodachis! Thank you so much for watching this video. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can also find links to the videos that we reacted to today down in the description below, along with my Oshi marks. I'll see you in the next video, Monos. Goodbye, and thank you so much for swinging by. Salut!